So tonight I attended my local Board of Education meeting. I encourage other parents to be involved in their child's education by doing the same if they're able to. It was an enlightening experience. I'm lucky to live in a district where there's a mix of people from all walks of life, and from what I've seen, seem to agree that our children should not be indoctrinated. My intention in speaking tonight was, however, to share my thoughts with the board that the NJEA and standards put forth by our governor does concern me, and I asked for transparency and accountability of the board to ensure that they're working in the best interest of our children and not operating on political agendas. Now, here's where things got interesting. I started my speech by saying that the teachers, administrators, and staff that I've encountered so far have been wonderful, reassuring, and made me feel comfortable to know that I could come to them at any time. I was more than careful not to seem like I was making assumptions or attacking them. I did also ask that they allow for an opt-out for curriculum other than just in health and physical education should we encounter anything that seems questionable. Another woman spoke after me. She was an older woman, and she asked a lot of questions of the board that we all wanted to know. Will they be taught controversial topics? Will genders be mixed in bathrooms? When each of us spoke, you could see the entire board and superintendent were already in defense mode, expecting the worst. My calling out of the NJEA put them on edge too, despite my calm tone and compliments of them prior to doing so. They refused to comment on what each of us had said after we had concluded our 5 minutes each. I didn't mind after my 5 minutes because I didn't really have questions, but the other woman specifically asked questions and they were ready to move on. I reminded them that as per their own rules, they don't allow back and forth, but they can answer her questions once she was done speaking. Instantly, one person on the board had a judgmental smirk as she looked around at the other board members with disgust at us. Her responses were disparaging and came off as belittling and bullying. Frankly, it was frustrating in the moment, but it leads me to the most important part of this. We now live in a world where people have become extremely judgmental of others without even knowing them. Because I walked in with red, white, and blue hair and probably looking in their eyes too patriotic, I'd be surprised if they even actually heard what I said. I don't think they even realized they were in their own minds judging me and making automatic assumptions about me just because of my appearance and the fact that I was a parent who actually stood up to speak about these topics at the meeting. I will admit, though, we are all guilty of it. I'm not going to lie. When I first walked in, I saw 3 board members in masks and already grew concerned, so I understand their initial reactions. However, it turns out that it was the unmasked board members who responded to us defensively, with obvious eye rolls. So the woman who did respond to our concerns sat in her chair gloating as though she had just won a battle because she knew we couldn't publicly respond to her. After this, I proceeded to pass a note to the older woman they begrudgingly addressed, thanking her for speaking up, explaining to her that these people were acting defensively because they were expecting us. I reminded her that their obvious reactions to us and the smirks on their faces looked horrible on them, and that we will continue to remain kind. I reminded her that they're supposed to represent us, and they had the choice at that moment to decide whether or not they wanted to portray that to the public. The NJSBA website actually states that the school board has a dual role: to represent the concerns of the citizens, taxpayers, and parents to the school administrators, and to represent the needs of the students and school district to the citizens, taxpayers, and parents of the community. I hope that school boards everywhere remember that. My hope is that people everywhere learn to stop judging others. At the end of the day, most people are inherently good, with good intentions. It's their experiences that corrupt them, and it's up to us all to ensure that we uphold positivity in our interactions with others. None of us are perfect, and we're gonna mess up. But if you do, remember to do everything with good intentions. We can continue to unite as people and keep making the world a better place if we just remember that. I did have one last thing to add, but I was very hungry, so I had to come downstairs. But for those of you that did address us defensively, if for some reason you see this video, just know that because I have red, white, and blue hair, doesn't mean I'm coming for you. It just means I'm watching. That's all.